Tonight, a Time Lord moves forward, while an adulterer, a poet and a playwright look backwards. Only one TV character could get this much publicity after 15 years away. Who? This week's Eternal Triangle are Ian Rankin, whose latest best-selling novel is Fresh Market Close, the critic and writer Bonnie Greer, and Professor John Carey, chief book reviewer for the Sunday Times. And the guests may soon be hiding behind our sofa, but in a week when political controversy surrounded the levels of policing in Nottingham, many will take comfort from the reappearance on the streets of London of an old-fashioned blue police box. After 15 years away, Doctor Who returns to BBC One this Easter for a new series which will settle the metaphysical question of whether time travel can become dated. With the most famous former Time Lord, Tom Baker, occupied doing voiceovers for Little Britain, the Doctor is played by Christopher Eccleston. The main writer on the new series, Russell T Davies, created Queer as Folk. So might the Doctor now have a male companion? No, she's Billie Piper. Christopher Eccleston, Billie Piper and the new Doctor Who. Ian Rankin, it's a kind of TV time travel trying to bring back an old hit. Have they made it work?
Well, I very much think they have. I mean, I go right back to the William Hartnell days of Doctor Who when it was black and white, and I was hiding behind the sofa when the Cybermen came out. I wasn't quite hiding behind the sofa this time, but it's got something for everyone. They've updated it very well. I think Russell T Davies, the writer, is fantastic. He brings a lot of wit to it. He tries to explain where Doctor Who comes from. He does all of this in one single episode. There are jokes for grown-ups. Doctor Who flicks through a copy of Heat magazine, and he says that's never going to last, he's gay and she's an alien. There's some great jokes that are in there. Billie Piper makes a joke about breast implants. This is a kids' TV programme. She's great. She's eye candy for ladies and gents. We've got monsters for the kids. It's got everything in there, and I thought it worked really well.
Well, I conducted a sofa test with some children, and I'll reveal the results later. But Bonnie Greer was so frightened, she not only didn't go behind the sofa, she went across the Atlantic to avoid Doctor Who. So you're new to all this.
Well, yeah, I'm sort of like the little ones who've never, have no connection to this. I don't know what this is all about. I'm going to be really honest with you. No matter, how wonderful this is, there's still genre sort of toys that have to be in this kind of thing. The thing looks really cheap. I mean, you've got to put money up there. Otherwise, it just does not work. The stuff, the toys don't work. The stories are all over the place. Who is this for? Is it for my generation? Is it for 40-somethings? Is it for babies? What is it for? They haven't made up their mind who they're talking to. That's the big problem for me. Also, I just really don't know what's going on. You need to know what's happening in this. The acting is wonderful, the writing is wonderful, but it looks thin. It just looks cheap. And this kind of thing you can't do that with. You just can't.
You want to know who it's for? It's for me and Ian, and for
our
children. I'm sorry. Anyway, John Carey.
Well, I think the cheapness is part of the point. It's very British. I mean, the fact that it's done on a shoestring is very important. It's self-mocking. It's not to be taken too seriously. In my opinion, the cheap things were the best things. I mean, the great moment for me was when Mickey, the boyfriend, is swallowed by a wheelie bin. I mean, absolutely convincing. He touches the wheelie bin, it grabs his hand, takes him in, and burps. Brilliant. That's cost nothing. And the other great moment was when the plastic arm, torn off a dummy, grabs the girl's face, grabs Rose's face. Quite frightening for kids, I think, that. Both of them very cheap effects, but very cleverly turning something innocent into something sinister.
Yeah, and the big blob that controls all the plastic in the world, of course, is very like the Marmite blob, which we're now told is too scary for young kids. So you do have to ask yourself, who's the show for? I actually don't, I mean, compared to the early Doctor Who's, the effects are not cheap in this, and it's a series that's been waiting for digital the age to come along. It's been waiting for CGT so that they can actually do some of the effects that would have been impossible. The teaser that we've seen for the second episode looks fantastic. It looks like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, very camp, full of fantastic aliens. I think it's going to be a big hit.
But it looks like the storyboard of a movie. There is nothing in it. There's no one on the streets. There's no body around this thing at all. So it's just people talking to one another, back and forth, little stuff exploding in the background, snide little jokes. The thing about, why do you have a northern accent? Well, there is north up on the whatever the outer space. I thought, well, okay, right.
This is only your first episode, Bonnie. John.
Well, I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I mean, actually, it's when it goes the other way, I think it fails. I mean, the fact that the whole of life on Earth is going to be threatened by a sort of Marmite blob, as you say, which happens to be under the pavement near London Eye, is ridiculous. And the further they get away from trying to explain where all the mystery is, the better it is. And the empty streets and the cheapness don't matter, but trying to solve the mystery of the universe and having debates with this Marmite blob about, what happened in the past and Time Lords and so on, that's the stuff I think
it's full of in-jokes for people who've grown up with this kind of TV. There are Quatermass in-jokes. The fact that London is empty goes back to the Cybermen episodes of Doctor Who. The fact that it's an eco-peril is Doomwatch.
Can all these audiences be satisfied? That's the question. You're saying this. I don't understand.
I am now going to reveal the results.
All right, okay.
I'm very excited by this.
All right, me too.
The results of my sofa
What are the age
test.
groups first?
Well, they were various. We had an 8-year-old, we had 10-year-old, and so on. So anyway, look, sitting there, and the point is, they reacted exactly as they're supposed to. They walk into the TARDIS, little police box, and they say, "Oh, it's so big inside the TARDIS." And then they come out and they do the double take, exactly the one that Billy Piper is doing. So all of that work. They were fascinated by who Doctor Who was. And I have to say here, I think they were lucky, because I think that Eccleston, with not particular disrespect to other people who've done it, he's the most serious actor to do this. Proper film star, proper stage actor. And I think he has got a sense of danger, which is really important to this.
He's got an incredible face. I mean, for kids, that's the most important thing. He's a beautiful person, and his face is very mobile, and so is Billy Piper's. So for a kid, I mean, that's
but
what
he's
kept me
also on the
looking at
edge of being bonkers.
Yeah, he's very dark. Yeah, he's very dark.
He's not near enough to being bonkers. I mean, previous Doctor Who's have been really bonkers, and that means that you feel they are the link between the real and the super real. This man's just too ordinary, I think.
Oh, no.
The later Doctors were eccentric rather than bonkers. You have to go back to Patrick Troughton to find a really good edge of craziness Doctor, and I think Eccleston's the best Doctor
Mark,
since
how long did they
Patrick
stay
Troughton.
looking at it? You didn't say that.
No, well, I mean, they watched the whole thing, and then they wanted to see the rest of them. Yeah.
They're your kids.
I can't reveal that.
Oh, right.
That's
And they were voting
but
for
they
it.
want to. Yeah, I mean, they wanted to see the rest of it, and I thought that was impressive, and it did work on those two levels. Also, there are the jokes for grown-ups, as Ian says. Very clever, typical Russell T Davies, the writer, joke, which is that when she's trying to find out who Doctor Who is, she goes onto the internet and she puts all this stuff in. Now, where has Doctor Who been for the last 15 years? He's been on the internet, and all these nerds, one of whom is dramatised, are keeping him going. And lots of it does work on those different levels.
Which is an X-Files reference in itself. Yeah.
This will travel.
Well, it might not
Yeah,
travel,
I'm sorry,
but it'll travel all around
because
the
it's
UK.
just
There's
too-
going to be
I
a
know
whole
exactly.
It
generation.
will go
But
to
it's
other
not-
galaxies, which is the model
Exactly.
that the BBC is interested in for this.
Right, well, galaxies is where it will go.
Well, with disagreement there, it did pass the sofa test. Doctor Who returns to BBC One on Saturday, the 26th of March, with special programmes here on BBC Two tomorrow.